Welcome back, everybody, to part 4 of our series where we are talking about dynamic thumbnails and how to create them, publish them to YouTube, all within Python. So previous video, we basically wrote all the content that we need for our script. And so what we're going to do next is I'm going to show you how to put it on a task scheduler. Now, I do have an Azure virtual machine instance, like I mentioned on the first video. Everything I'm about to show you, you can do exactly the same on your local system for Windows users. So please be aware of that. I'm just doing something very specific for me. The main reason I'm using an Azure virtual machine is I constantly worry about internet connection and I constantly don't want my laptop powered on. And so, especially depending on how frequently you're running this, a virtual machine might make sense. There might be other ways of potentially making this a little bit easier. I'll explore those, but as of right now. So, look at this, second window, right? It's my Star Wars one. Great game, by the way. So, I already have a script on here. I cheated a little bit. I'm going to open this up in code. Sorry if it's a little bit slower. It's just, obviously I don't pay for the maximum CPUs and everything else. So just be a little bit patient. So you'll notice inside of your repository, there is a folder called scripts. Inside of this script folder, there is something called update thumbnail.bat. This is a batch file. It's a Windows batch file, and basically it allows you to run your script. In other words, sorry, that's right, I have sync turned on. I totally forgot about that. Nice thing about syncing. But basically, it's a really simple file. It's not doing a ton, but I do want to kind of just call out a couple different things. So first, whenever you see the word echo, that's basically like printing it to the console, right? If you ever see @rem, that just basically means it's a comment. So that's something that you're not going to see on the screen. You only see it in the script. CD is short for change directory. So whenever I run my scripts, I try to be in the same location as the script that I'm running, because if you notice, a lot of the times I'm referencing other folders inside of here. I might be referencing files and things like that. If you're not in the same location as the script, guess what happens? The script doesn't tend to work. And in some cases, you don't even get an error. The script just kind of boots up and goes right back down. So be very aware of that. Basically, just you want to make sure you're in the location of your repository. So in this situation, you can see it's just simply navigating to where my repository is. So all this is doing is it's making sure when I boot up this script that I immediately change directories inside of here. Once I've done that, I have these two commands right here. One, you can kind of tell, is simply pointing to my Python executable. So it's like I'm writing py and then the path to my script, right? So all this is doing is it's pointing to my Python executable. Note that I have it in double quotes, should be a string. And then I'm saying, using the Python executable, run this script for me. You notice that it's simply my dynamic thumbnail script, right? Now, in my previous video, I called it something a little bit different. I called it create dynamic thumbnail. But in this one, I'm using my old one, use dynamic thumbnail. So all this is doing is it's saying, using the Python executable, run that script, but you just want to make sure you're in the location that I'm specifying. So here's me showing you how I manually run it. So you can see here, it's currently booting up. And it's just letting me know, okay, here you go, and all that. And you can tell it's, because this is technically opening up another application, it's not going to run super quick, but it's going to run quick enough. And because, of course, I cheaped out and I paid for the not super lot of CPU and everything like that. It's not super fast, but it's fast enough. You can see it's going through the exact same steps that we leveraged in our code. It looks like it was successful. There's a really easy way to see if it was successful. We can just go see what it looks like on YouTube. And if it's changed, it means we're good. So right now it's 200,000. Oh my God, it's 100,000 again. So it worked. Wonderful. But I don't want to run the script every 5 seconds. I want it to be on a schedule. So how do I set this on a schedule? You can use the task scheduler. So if you go down to your search bar and you go task scheduler, there's a couple different things you can see. So first things first, again, it's a little bit laggy, so I apologize. I turn on enable all task histories. Keep in mind, this does keep a massive list. So if you don't want to have a massive list here, you can always turn it off, but I like having it on because I like to know which ones are running successfully and which ones don't. So first thing is you're going to notice this is probably disabled. Make sure you just click it and it should be enabled. Then from here, I'm going to create a task. So you can see right up here, create task. So if I click this, I get this nice little dialog box. The first thing that I need to provide is a name for my task. So it can be whatever you want. I can call it update my YouTube thumbnail. You could give it a description if you wanted to. There's a lot that you could do with this. The next thing I'm going to talk about is kind of when it comes to the profile that's used to run this. I try to give it the highest level of privileges possible if it's in a contained environment and I'm not worried about other people potentially hacking me and all this other stuff. So with this particular one, I want to run it as the administrator. The reason why is a lot of times when you're running scripts, when you're trying to access other applications and programs and all sorts of other stuff, it's usually better to run it as the administrator because then you don't have to worry about, does that profile have the capability to actually run the application that you want? We take this a lot for granted, right? I double click something, it just opens. When I'm writing it from a script, it can be very different actually. And then you also have this option for run with highest privileges. I turn this on. You don't technically have to sometimes, but I just like to. And then I'm going to jump over to conditions really quick. So start the task if the computer is on AC power. You can leave this on, or if you're like me and I'm on a virtual machine, I just turn it off. And then additionally, there is like other conditions you can do. So start task only if the computer is idle for XYZ. So, you can kind of customize this depending on what you're trying to do. There's some settings on here as well. So allow tasks to be run on demand. You can turn that off. Run task as soon as possible after a scheduled start is missed. That's something you might want to turn on as well. And then you can also do things like if the task fails, restart, so on and so on. So I'm going to jump over to triggers. This basically says when I need to start running this task. So what triggers this task? You can do lots of different things. So you can say on a schedule, at logon, at startup, on idle, on an event, on connection to user session, lots of different options. I'm going to say I want it on a schedule. I'm going to say daily, and then I can specify the date and the time to start. I'm going to put this 2 minutes into the future. I'm going to say every 1 day. I'm going to repeat this task. I could say every 5 minutes for indefinitely. Honestly, my channel's not growing that quickly, like in the sense where it needs to run every 5 minutes, something like Mr. Beast, he would have to. Mine, I don't need to, but I'm just going to demonstrate it for you. And then you can also do action. So what do you want to have happen with this task? You can see your actions are send an email, display a message. So these are all deprecated. In this case, we're going to do start a program, and then you can browse for the program. In this case, I'm already on my thing. I'm just going to go to my batch file. And then there's other things in here. Add arguments, start in, so on and so on. And you press OK. And it's going to refresh. I don't know if you can see it right here right away. I'll try to see if I can see it in here. Sometimes, again, you just have to refresh it. I don't know why it doesn't show it right away. but you'll notice that sometimes you have to wait for it to run before you can actually see it in here. Don't ask me why. I don't know why that's how it's set up, but it's set up in like that for some weird reason. I think you can also go display all running task. Yeah. So this is unfortunately where we have to wait. There it goes. Beautiful. It's kind of worried we were going to be waiting for a little bit. But you can see now it's going through the process and it's ideally going to update everything, right? So we just want to make sure that the content that we're seeing here is being outputted to our terminal. I will warn you a little bit, you do need to be kind of careful when your application boots up. You want to make sure, obviously, you're signed in. Trust me, I learned the hard way with that one. Hey, that's good. Looks good. So, I mean, that to me sounds like it's running perfectly. So I'm happy with that. And then basically this is just now going to run every 5 minutes and your thumbnail is going to be updated every 5 minutes. So, yeah, that does it. Wow. It's already done, man. Crazy. Okay. Well, so yeah, if you have any final questions, just kind of overall thought process, or just if you encounter any issues, obviously, you know, feel free to put them down in the comments below. Again, definitely want to make sure you grab the repo. Woo! And, you know, thank you for all of you who have been here for 2 years. It's crazy to think about. So it's been fun doing it. I know some of you have been here for a while because I see you comment. I see you. But yeah, so, I mean, I'll upload this probably later tonight. And then I do want to finish our Azure triggers one, just because that's kind of important. And then probably after that, I'm going to do the trading robot one. So for all you finance folks out there, I know you've been waiting patiently. I also have a logistics regression series that I'm pretty much wrapping up the writing process of it. And then I have to go through the whole like double checking it and then seeing how I want to talk about it. That's always a fun part. So that's kind of what's coming up next, I would say, at least for the finance oriented people, because I know those are definitely some people who want to get some content. So thank you again for watching, everybody. We will see you in the next series.